It's so ambiguous to be even considering this kind of way of thinking, but how beneficial is it? If I'm talking to you over the internet, if I've reached over 1.5 million people, thank you to all those people for checking out my YouTube page for the last 12 years, then anything's possible. Hey folks, Paul Oz here once again. So thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be going over a really interesting concept I've been going over with all my mentorship program students. But before I talk about it, I wanted to say, hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you like this kind of content, because I will do way more of it. This is what I do every weekend when I'm teaching all my mentorship program students. So anyways, let's dive in. Developing your artistry as a musician, as a guitar player, fundamentally, because I'm a guitar mentor, guitar teacher. How do you go about doing that, man? Like, how do you develop your own sound? One thing I've got all my mentorship program students doing is basically picking 3 huge influences on their guitar playing, but like current ones, like right now. What's the biggest and most important ones to them right now? What musician sings to them in a way that just they can't help but like love it or fall to tears or be joyfully talking about it? And well, the answers are really interesting. So I'll get each student to pick 3. And from those 3, I would ask them to extrapolate and find out through interviews, because most of the time these musicians are like quite famous, you know, and they'll go and they'll find the influences of their influences, which sounds really, really absurd at first, because I mean, you kind of have to do a little bit of research on a person, and it feels a little bit like stalking, which isn't really cool, and that's not what I want you to do. So here's the idea. I have a favorite musician. Let's say it's actually a favorite musician of mine. Let's say it's Ihsahn. Now, Ihsahn is from a band called Emperor, a black metal titan. This is like one of the best black metal bands of all time, if not the best, in my personal opinion. And who are some of his influences? Well, there's the Iron Maiden and the Judas Priest kind of thing going on there, but there's a lot of classical seeming influences in there. And if I go and I find out which exact composer, I'm gonna go and listen and see what in there Ihsahn took to create his style. Another great example, which a lot of students cite, because this guy is like, he is Guitar Jesus, Guitar God, however you want to, the subject of millions of memes, John Petrucci. So John Petrucci definitely loves Rush, yes, King Crimson, and probably Jimi Hendrix, and and I just know this off the top of my head because he's a prog nerd. So if I, as a huge John Petrucci fan, go and I listen to Rush and I listen to, oh yeah, Pink Floyd is probably a big one too. I don't know why I would ever forget Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd's one of my influences. The list keeps going on and on and on. And what I like to do is sit down and think about what in their plethora of music I like. What influenced my influences? Now, I did this exercise with Steve Vai, and Steve Vai had 2 really huge influences he keeps on citing. One of them is no longer with us, Mr. Frank Zappa. And if you listen to a few of his records from the 80s and 70s, you can definitely hear how Steve Vai's playing comes directly from Frank Zappa's, even his way that he intonated on the guitar, which is so cool. So like, okay, but who's the other one, you might ask? Al Di Meola. Oh my God. So when I found out about Al Di Meola, my father was like, oh yeah, duh, because he was with Paco de Lucia and John McLaughlin, the trio guitar gods, basically. Oh man. Finding that video of Mediterranean Sundance on YouTube of those 3 legends together like blew my mind that people were playing this quickly. Basically, Al Di Meola was pre-shred shred. He was the proto-shred icon. And like no one in prog metal or shreddy stuff is really talking about him. I don't really get it. I think that the guy's a complete genius. And I love all of his music, and I mean literally all of it. I've gone through his catalog and bought a really rare record that I cannot get enough of. My great friend Timo Summers from Delane, he also loves Al Di Meola. So like I did that and I found so much that I personally loved. And it was such a growth moment because there was no one telling me to do this. I was doing this naturally. I was curious. Here's a completely ridiculously different example. Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, the guy who wrote the soundtracks to The Social Network and to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Haunting things. But then if you go back to what made him famous, it was Closer on that record, The Downward Spiral, which was a huge thing in the 90s. While grunge was going on, Nine Inch Nails was this angry, industrial, personal, private, journal entry, angry young man kind of music. And to me, there's a lot of punk, there's a lot of metal, there's a lot of angry kind of, there's a lot of electronic stuff going on, and I could never decipher like what the hell is Trent Reznor's like influences, man. So I went and I Googled it because of course, you know, you can do that, and so you do your research. That's all I'm trying to say. And I found Gary Numan, who like is one of my favorite musicians of all time. Like this guy is 60 something, and I saw him live back in October, I believe, of 2018. The guy was dancing and singing on stage for 2.5 hours. He didn't miss a damn beat. It was so impressive. I wish to have that longevity when I'm at that age. It was extremely, extremely killer. What a performance. Let me digress. I love Gary Numan. I could talk about him all day. But another great influence for Trent Reznor was Depeche Mode, obviously, because there's just something pulling from there. There's this tonality, there's this electronic feel. Depeche Mode had a few kind of like poppier, like really poppier songs, but their heavier, darker, electronic, sultrier songs definitely seem to help pave the way for Trent Reznor. And I mean, beyond those two titans, David Bowie, you know, those three influences on Trent obviously made like a huge, huge impression, because I still love Nine Inch Nails to this day. I've loved Nine Inch Nails longer than I've been playing guitar. So for me, it's a primary influence. Even to this day, I will listen to a Nine Inch Nails record, even if I did not like it at first. Like that last one that was called Hesitation Marks, it was a full record. I didn't fall in love with it immediately, but there was a couple songs that grew on me and grew on me and grew on me. There's this pulse and this primordial nature, but this throwback and nostalgia to that Moog sound. Moog? I always don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, point being, it doesn't only have to be guitar players. It could be like people who write electronic music. It could be for some people, I mean, it could be a myriad of things. The idea is that whatever your current influences are, pick three. If you're a guitar player, pick 3 guitar players and dive deep into what makes those guitar players great, and find out for yourself where you seem to sit in that huge tapestry of beautiful music. It's such an easy thing to do, and it's a very empowering thing to do. I'm in the process of doing this right now because I have writer's block. I'm not gonna lie to you, YouTube. I have extreme writer's block right now. I've blocked off all of August to write an entire record. I'm gonna be working on songwriting every single day, because I know if I'm putting in the time and I write 400 bad songs, maybe 5 of them will be really, really cool, and I would love to share that and express that with the world. So for me, I know that that's going to take some time, but so for me to get inspired and to push myself, I'm trying this process out to like a really interesting degree. I'm getting musical ideas. You ever hear a song before it's composed and you're like, oh my God, this is like a really good idea. Why? Where did this come from? Then you like record it in your DAW, you sing the parts, you program that choir, and you're like, I didn't write this. I get that feeling now while I'm doing this process. Whereas 3-4 weeks ago, it was like, man, I don't know what that record's gonna sound like. And I'm still a little bit terrified that I still don't know exactly what it's gonna sound like, but there's this sense of energy and excitement. And looking into my influences and their influences, I'm pulling from all these different places. And I feel the seed of what the album is inside of me now. I know roughly where I'm gonna start, and I'm excited to see where that journey goes. So anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I really love doing this kind of thing. I talk about this stuff all the time. Every weekend I'm teaching. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 6 Pacific Standard Time. Teaching like on the internet, by the way, so you can have a lesson with me if you like. It's not just about guitar technique. It's about obviously the philosophy behind being a creative person in 2019, well, and beyond, of course. I teach for life. I don't like to teach out of a book. You're gonna learn a scale today, and then maybe tomorrow you'll learn the next scale. No. I cater to the needs of every single student. That's why I have such a huge turnover, by the way. So many of my students get so successful after 2 or 3 months. I need to find new ones. So if you're interested in my mentorship program, drop a comment below, message me on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever. I'm very widely available to reach for now. And guys, it's been my pleasure to talk to you about this stuff. I hope that you got something out of this video. I've been Paul Oz, you've been awesome. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and again, comment below. If you like this content, you gotta let me know. All right, folks, cheers and all the best from the Pacific Northwest.